Hey, what's up guys? It's Anthony Magana, your #1 real estate broker here in Bakersfield, California. And I actually have a tip for you guys. As a matter of fact, three tips that I want to share with you before you buy your first property. You might want to buy a home now, maybe in the near future. I want to help prepare you for that. How much of a monthly mortgage payment can you truly afford? I have clients that come in, they'll sit down with me, I'll do a buyer's consultation with them, and you know, they're pre-qualified or they're talking to the lender. Normally they'll say something pretty ridiculous, you know? A lot of people want to save money. Me, myself, I want to save money. It's human nature, right? They'll come in, they'll say, hey, you know, I don't want to spend more than $800 a month. Guys, realistically, you can't rent a house for more than $800 unless it's a 2-bedroom. You gotta be very honest with yourself in terms of what's the max that you can do without breaking the bank. I don't want you guys to go to the lender and tell the lender that you guys can pay $2,000 a month when in reality, you know you can't pay more than $1,500. So how do you calculate what you can truly afford? There's 3 ways to doing that. All right, number 1, first thing you wanna do, estimate your income. How much are you bringing in? Number 2, assess your debt. Truly, how much debt do you have? You gotta be very honest with yourself when you're doing something like this, because again, we as agents, we're not stuck with your payment. The one that's stuck with the payment for 30 years is you. So you gotta be very careful when you're doing this, okay? Third thing that you wanna do, you gotta be truthful. Be truthful with yourself. I cannot stress that enough. So how do you do that? I'm gonna give you guys a scenario. We're gonna go ahead and use Bob, hardworking Bob. No, I'm not a good drawer, but Bob is gonna buy a home. Bob needs to do what I'm telling him to do so that he knows how much he can afford in terms of payment wise, right? Let's just go ahead and theoretically say that Bob has a very good job and every single month, net, there's a difference between net and gross, he's bringing $10,000 a month. Pretty good chunk of change, right? You would automatically think Bob there has a whole lot of money. In reality, Bob might have a lot of debt. Some of the debt that I can, name for you guys is what? Credit cards, first thing. Maybe he has a car. Maybe he co-signed a car for maybe his wife, another car. Maybe he has some furniture he took out. Maybe he might have some student loans. You guys get the picture, right? This is all a factor to your debt. So let's just theoretically say Bob makes 10 grand a month. Okay, that's what he has coming in. But going out, let's go ahead and say theoretically Bob got a Ferrari, right? He got a $1,000 payment on that Ferrari. His credit cards, I mean, shoot, he can have 15 credit cards. Out of those 15 credit cards, maybe he has total and monthly minimum payments, say another $2,000. Co-sign his wife's car. And yes, believe it or not, even though you co-sign for somebody, that's still considered your debt when you're trying to buy a house, okay? She didn't get a Ferrari, but she got a BMW, she got something, So it's a $500 payment. Furniture, Bob went, he spent a bunch of money on furniture because he wanted to impress his friends. So he has another $500 monthly payment on furniture. Student loans, Bob went to school, he became a contractor, whatever the case may be. I'm not sure if there's even student loans for things like that, but let's just theoretically say he pays another $500 a month. You do the math, that equals $4,500 out. But you gotta keep in mind, Bob still has rent. Bob still has food expenses. Bob still has gas. You have to take everything into consideration so that you can calculate how much you can afford, truly afford, okay? This is just debt. How much do you spend on food? We all need to survive. You gotta analyze that. And for those of you who are not calculating this, you're probably doing something wrong already. You wanna know how much you're spending. How often do you go to the grocery store? Do you go to the grocery store once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week? How much do you spend every time you go? In Bob's case, he has a big family, $400 a month. That's a big chunk of change. But you don't see that because you're not counting it as a monthly debt. That's the problem that I personally see a lot of people do. Food is expensive. I spend a lot of money on food, as you can tell. Let's go ahead and get into the gas part. Gas is expensive. I mean, not now. Now it's like $1 per barrel. I know gas is dropping, but theoretically speaking, when everything goes back up, gas is expensive, especially if you're in California. $4 a gallon is just what you spend, theoretically speaking. Bob drives around a lot, about $200 on gas. You see what I'm trying to get to, guys? Break it down. And I want you guys to actually break it down to the point where an extra $600 in debt that I wasn't accounting for. So again, we're gonna erase this number because it's no longer $4,500, it's $5,100. In Bob's case, it's still not stressing him. He still has a good amount of money. He has, what, $4,900 left after he truly calculates all his expenses. Calculate everything. How much do you really have left after you truly spend, right, on everything? Just to go back and recap, how much of a payment can you truly afford? Number two, second thing you want to do, minimize your debt as much as possible. Obviously, Bob got a lot of crap going on here. If you got 15 credit cards and you got $2,000 in, minimum payments, there's something that you got to do. There's something that you want to take care of. And what does that mean? And I'm gonna break that down for you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and erase all of this. Go ahead and I'm gonna be Bob's financial advisor here for a minute. But this is what's worked for me. It's what's worked for my clients. Bob has 15 credit cards, like I mentioned in the beginning. Maybe Discover, maybe he has Kohl's, maybe he has Bank of America, Wells Fargo, JCPenney. Makes me wanna go shopping. Maybe he has Victoria's Secret for his wife, you never know, Sephora. The point is he has 15 credit cards, okay? From those 15 credit cards, 1, 2, 3, 13, 14, 15. That's a bunch of credit cards. I know people that have 15 credit cards, by the way. I almost have 15 credit cards. But let's go ahead and talk about this. Minimum payments. You gotta stay away from the minimum payments, guys. Sometimes you'll have a minimum payment of $25, $20, $15. So a lot of people will pay that minimum payment. But you have to understand, if you have a balance of $2,000 on one card, $1,000 on another card, $5,000 on another card, $3,000 on another card. We're just gonna use these top 5 for an example because I don't wanna go over all 15. Let's say $2,000 on the 5th one. This combined, as you can already see, is $13,000 in debt, okay? But people, they're giving monthly payments of like $25, $15, $15, $25, okay? Whatever your minimum payment is, it might be a little bit more, it doesn't matter. You gotta stop giving that minimum payment away, okay? Now, the reason why I wrote these right here, okay, and why I'm using 15 credit cards as an example is because you might not have credit cards with high balances, but you have credit cards with, $300. Maybe you have one with $150. Maybe you have one for $400. You see what I'm saying? What do you want to do? Eliminate your debt. As hard as it's gonna be. Make minimum payments on the highest ones, that's fine. But you gotta focus on targeting these smaller ones. Knock them out. Take them out, because once you start knocking them out, you have leverage, okay? You got a little bit more money to mess with. You no longer have to give minimum payments on something so small like that. What you want to do is knock the small ones out, start tackling these big boys. And don't give the monthly minimum payment because you're paying a lot of interest. Second advice that I can give you for the people that love credit cards, if you don't already have one, if you have the credit score to do it and the ability to do it, and you have a credit card with a 0% interest rate, okay? Meaning you don't have interest for 2 years. Sometimes they have great programs. I know Bank of America does it where if you go and you get a credit card from them, you have no interest for 2 years. With this one credit card, depending on your limit, okay, you don't wanna max it out either, but depending on your limit, try to pay off most of these credit cards with that one credit card. Transfer all of your balance. I'm making a huge mess here, I apologize, but try to transfer everything to that one 0% interest credit card because you're getting charged interest on Wells Fargo, on JCPenney, on Victoria's Secret, on Sephora, but Bank of America is 0% interest. Why are you gonna keep paying interest on other credit cards when you can just transfer everything over to that one and focus on one? Come to leverage, right? This is the tip too. If you got a car, you're about to pay it off. Minimize your debt as much as possible because when you do this, Bob is not gonna have so much money going out every month in expenses. Instead of $5,100, you probably knock that down to $3,000. It's a big difference, right? Monthly, think about it, monthly. Last but not least, shop around with different lenders. That's the third tip that I gave you. When you go to a real estate agent will commonly refer you to their lender, which is fine, there's no problem with that. But sometimes that lender might not have your best interest, and it happens a lot. So you want to shop around as a consumer, because we can refer you to lenders that we've worked with in the past that done great work, might have great interest rates. But if you know of somebody that maybe has a better rate, go shop around. A lot of people are scared of this method because they're saying, oh, Anthony, if I go and I shop around with different lenders, is that gonna hurt my credit? Realistically, probably, but very, very, very minimal of an impact. Why? Because credit bureaus know that you as a consumer, when you're shopping around for different rates, you're gonna shop around. You're gonna wanna compare rates. You don't go to one lender, you're stuck and you're married to that one lender. You wanna shop around with at least 3 different lenders. You compare your rates because that determines your monthly payment. If you're getting a 3.75 somewhere and you're getting a 3.875 somewhere else, you're gonna wanna go for the lower rate. Usually when you're shopping for cars or for homes and you're shopping for rates, they'll give you a window from 15 to 45 days to up to 3 lenders. So I always tell my clients, shop with up to 3 lenders. You let me know who you feel more comfortable with and we'll go about it that way. Just to kind of recap one more time, analyze how much of a payment you can truly afford. Number 2, minimize the debt as much as possible. And number 3, shop around with different lenders. Analyze how much of a payment you can afford. Number 2, minimize this debt. Minimize your debt, guys, as much as you can. That's just one of the ways. There's tons of ways. If you have a financial advisor, talk to your financial advisor. But if you don't, this is one of the many ways that you can, one of the tactics that you can do to minimize your debt. Number 3, last but not least, shop around with different lenders. I cannot stress that enough. A lot of people are scared to do that because they think it's gonna hurt their credit. Might have a small impact, but at the end of the day, guys, if I'm getting a 4% interest rate somewhere compared to 3.5, believe me, that 0.5% is worth running my credit for. I promise you guys. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's a little long, but I know there's a lot of people that can use this useful information, okay? With that being said, guys, I look forward to providing more value, providing more information. As always, Anthony Magana, your #1 real estate broker here in Bakersfield, California. Until next time, guys, stay tuned.